Some bridges on Earth defy belief, and just the sight of them can cause us to have instant anxiety. In this video, we're going to look at some of the scariest examples from around the world. These are the bridges that stretch human ingenuity to the max. But you do have to ask yourself, would you use them? But first, I'm going to share with you two bridges which aren't on my list. I'm in England's Lake District, specifically Ambleside. I can't come here without showing you the old bridge house, which has become a defining landmark of the area. It's now an icon of the Lake District. This precarious and almost unbelievable bridge has been standing, would you believe, for almost 400 years. It was built by the Braithwaite family in the 1600s. They built it to access their land on either side of Stockbeck. They used it as an apple store. To make use of the space efficiently, they built a small storage house directly on the bridge, using it to keep apples from their orchards. Over the years, the bridge house was repurposed for various uses, including serving as a residence. Remarkably, at one point, a family of 6 is said to have lived in this tiny structure. With just 2 small rooms, it's difficult to imagine how they managed. So this house and a family of 6 was supported by this thin and simple bridge. And what's more, almost 400 years later, it's still rock solid. It's now a tourist information office. Another bridge that isn't on my list is the mysterious Forth Bridge in Scotland. The Forth Rail Bridge is a cantilever bridge 9 miles west of central Edinburgh. I'm not going to include it on my list of terrifying bridges, but I for one definitely would not travel on it. I won't go on the Forth Bridge. Not until they tell me what happened to the other 3. Let's start with a monster bridge. Oh boy, the formidable 7-mile bridge in Florida is an engineering marvel, but for many, it's also a terrifying ordeal. Stretching an astonishing 6.8 miles across the open ocean, this bridge connects the Florida Keys with the mainland. With nothing but water on either side, it creates an overwhelming sense of vulnerability, especially for those with a fear of heights or open spaces. At its highest point, the bridge rises 65 feet above the water, leaving drivers exposed to powerful ocean winds. Can you imagine breaking down on this bridge? With no emergency lane to pull over, drivers are left stranded over deep waters with no easy escape. The 7-mile bridge is a scenic drive, but it can also be a white-knuckle journey of survival. The Langkawi Sky Bridge is 2,170 feet above sea level and 410 feet long. It's a cable-stayed bridge for pedestrians. You need to get into a cable car to reach it. The bridge was designed for the maximum viewing experience for all those who dare to cross it, travelling from one hilltop to another. The bridge was built using prefabricated sections which were lifted into place using Russian Kamov helicopters. Just in case this bridge isn't terrifying enough, it's recently had an upgrade. It now comes complete with sections of glass flooring. The Capilano Suspension Bridge in British Columbia is a simple suspension bridge which was first opened in 1889. It does look like the type of bridge to be fearful of, but you do need to make sure that your emotions aren't misplaced. In 1974, social psychologists conducted a baffling experiment on the bridge. Men were approached by a female researcher on this bridge and another bridge which was more sturdy. They found that men were more likely to call the women who they had met on this bridge as opposed to the sturdy bridge. The theory is that the men were misattributing their psychological arousal, which was caused by fear, to sexual attraction towards the women. The moral of this story seems to be careful what you agree to when you're on a scary bridge. The Carrick-A-Rede rope bridge. There's been a bridge here for 350 years. This photograph was taken around 1895 and shows a man using the bridge holding onto the only handrail. The bridge at this time was known for having many of the slats missing, the only thing between you and a deadly fall. A new bridge was built in 2004 and today it costs £13.50 if you're brave enough to cross over it. There are many instances where people have crossed the bridge but then have lost their nerve and refused to use the bridge to get off the island. They've had to be rescued by boat. Part of the Atlantic Road, the Storseisundet Bridge in Norway is 850 feet long and rises to a height of 75 feet above the freezing waters below. However, it's the bridge's unique design that strikes fear into drivers. When approached from certain angles, it appears to drop off into nothingness. Adding to the terror, the bridge is frequently battered by powerful North Atlantic winds, sometimes reaching hurricane force. During storms, massive waves crash over the roadway, making it feel like a death-defying roller coaster with its sharp curve and steep incline. Terrifying Zhangjiajie glass bridge in China is one of the most terrifying footbridges in the world. Suspended 985 feet above the Zhangjiajie Grand Canyon, this breathtaking yet nerve-wracking structure is 1,410 feet long, making it the longest glass-bottom bridge on Earth. Walking across it feels like stepping onto thin air, as the clear glass panels beneath your feet reveal the terrifying abyss below. It was designed to flex and sway. Strong winds can make the bridge shudder, intensifying the sense of vulnerability. Even those who aren't afraid of heights often find their legs trembling as they cross. For thrill seekers, it's the ultimate challenge, but for many, the Zhangjiajie glass bridge is a sheer test of courage and sanity. Chesapeake Bay Bridge. Over 21,000 feet long. That's 4.3 miles. And it's almost 400 feet high in places. In both directions, it's a suspension bridge. Eastbound, it's of a cantilever design. Westbound, it's a continuous truss bridge. When you're on the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, you're on your own, and life is lonely. It strikes fear into thousands who need to cross the bridge regularly. So much so that a surprising industry has emerged in the area. You can pay people to hop into your car and drive you over the bridge. Bay Bridge driving is a booming business. It's not unusual for the Bay Bridge drivers to make up to 50 crossings a day in other people's cars. Some locals see it as a price worth paying, anything to avoid the terror of driving alone over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. If you suffer from gephrophobia, a fear of driving across bridges, then this one is definitely a bridge too far. The Trift Bridge in the Swiss Alps. Just to get to the bridge, you need to take a cable car followed by a 1.5 hour hike. The old Trift Bridge was replaced after just 5 years. This new bridge takes fearless visitors directly to the Trift Hut of the Swiss Alpine Club. The Royal Gorge Bridge, Colorado, crosses a gorge 955 feet above the Arkansas River. It held the record for the world's highest bridge from 1929 to 2001. The span of the bridge between the towers is an incredible 880 feet. It was built to terrify, and that's official. It was never intended as a through route for transportation purposes. It was built in 1929 as a tourist attraction. The terrifying Mackinac Bridge is a nightmare for those afraid of heights, open spaces and high winds. It's 5 miles long, but for terrified motorists, a trip across it can feel like it goes on forever, across the turbulent waters of the Straits of Mackinac. It's one of the longest suspension bridges in the world. At its peak, the bridge towers 552 feet above the water, with the roadway itself sitting 200 feet above the churning waves below. What makes the bridge truly terrifying is its exposure exposure to extreme weather. Gusts of wind exceeding 50 miles per hour can make vehicles sway, and some drivers have reported feeling their cars lifting from the road. Just like at Chesapeake Bay, a thriving industry of bridge drivers have emerged to get petrified drivers safely across. But unlike at Chesapeake Bay, the bridge authorities provide this service for free. For many, the Mackinac Bridge isn't just a crossing, it's a white-knuckle ride for survival. Please allow me just 20 seconds to plug this channel. Very Nearly Interesting is a brand new channel and I need all the help I can get. Please click that like button if you've enjoyed this video. That's how YouTube knows you like it and they'll show it to more people. And please consider subscribing. That way I might see you again. And now you can support the channel on Patreon, where you'll find exclusive content and a grateful me. There's a link in the channel description. The Sidu River Bridge. China's most terrifying drive. You're cruising high above a deep canyon with nothing but a few steel cables keeping you from a dizzying plunge into the abyss. The Sidu River Bridge is one of the world's scariest feats of engineering, suspended 1,627 feet above the valley floor. This huge bridge is taller than the Empire State Building. Spanning just over 4,000 feet, the bridge sways slightly in the wind, making every step or drive across it terrifying. Fog often blankets the bridge, adding an eerie, blindfolded nightmare effect. The Titlis cliff walk is perched at a heart-stopping 10,000 feet above sea level. It's not for the faint of heart. This narrow, swaying suspension bridge stretches 328 feet across a sheer drop, with only thin metal railings separating you from disaster. As you step onto the bridge, icy winds whip around you, and the ground beneath your feet seems to tremble. On clear days, the view is breathtaking, but it's also stomach-churning. Look down and you'll see a 1,640-foot vertical drop into the glacier-covered valley. Fog often rolls in, making the bridge feel like it's disappearing into nothingness. The combination of extreme altitude, narrow walkways, and the ever-present sensation of dangling over a deadly drop makes this one of the most terrifying bridges on Earth. Deep in Japan's Nara prefecture lies the Tanise Suspension Bridge, a spine-chilling test of courage. Suspended 177 feet above the Totsukawa River, this rickety pedestrian bridge stretches an astonishing 968 feet, one of the longest suspension footbridges in Japan. With every gust of wind, the bridge wobbles, making you question your life choices. This wooden walkway has gaps between the planks, giving you an unsettling view of the rocky river far below. If that isn't terrifying enough, every year during the Tanise Bridge Festival, thrill seekers intentionally shake the bridge, daring the bravest souls to keep walking. The sheer length of this bridge means there's just no turning back. And finally, the Eshima Ohashi Bridge. It's the third largest rigid frame bridge in the world, and it's become rather famous in recent years due to its incredibly steep incline. It is steep, but the effect is actually an illusion. The uphill ramp is incredibly long and has a 6.1% gradient. The huge length of the incline, though, is completely lost if you take a photograph with a telephoto lens from far away. It makes it look as though you're driving up a cliff edge. Drivers must let out a sigh of relief by the time they get to the bridge, elated that it was all just an optical illusion. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button. That way YouTube will show it to more people. And please consider subscribing. That way I might see you again. And please have a look at some of the other content on the channel. There's lots of interesting things on there. Well, very nearly interesting.